Hello, thank you for joining us for this webinar today. I'm part of the Santa Rosa Junior College DQPP team, and we are presenting a webinar called DQPP plus ILOs equals GELOS. And if you've been involved in student learning outcomes, you know what most of those stand for. I'm here for the whole team, which includes Chris Abrahamson, the Dean of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Casey Graney, our Director of the Office of Institutional Research, Rebecca Perlroth, my fellow SLO coordinator, and me, Wanda Berzicki, the SLO coordinator and presenter for today. I started off with an equation. The degree qualifications profile project came to us at the same time that Santa Rosa Junior College was dealing with several other issues. One, we're in preparation for our 2015 accreditation, and one of the things we realized was that the institutional learning outcomes, which we have well established, including assessment of, were not going to be acceptable as general education outcomes. And we needed to do it even 2 years ago relatively quickly. So we had the opportunity to become part of the degree qualifications profile. At the same time, another thing was happening within the county, and that is probably that's happened other places, is really, is the college education worth it, whether it's the associate's degree, bachelor's degree, or beyond. And this is a little excerpt that you could read later, but the gist of it is students reflecting that the time, the trouble for things that a degree that includes general education is really taking up, it's not worth it. It's not giving them the education that they need. There was a long front page article about this. There was no response from the junior college ever. But for most of us, this was an important issue to be addressed, and that's where the degree qualifications profile project came in, an opportunity to jumpstart our efforts, raise awareness of the value of the degree, and to meet our accreditation standards. The reason the DQP was so appealing is rather than reinvent a set of outcomes for our general education courses and programs, this had already a national context and vetted outcomes. There was plenty of research articles supporting this. It was a way to begin a college-wide dialogue as we worked with the academic senate about not just the outcomes, but also the assessment of our general education courses. We were hoping the DQP would allow us to meet the accreditation standards, both in the GE learning outcomes we developed and also just being involved in something of that level. And also we had been talking about reviewing our institutional learning outcomes anyway, and this would allow us to align them. So we began the process really more than a year ago, but the bulk of it took place in fall 2013. And this is where we had to work together with our Project Learn committee. That's the standing committee, and it is the SLO committee. It has different names, and review how GE requirements for local degrees and CSU and UC align with the DQP and with our institutional learning outcomes. So we came up with a chart like this. And don't worry, don't spend a lot of time on this, but it does show that so many things are in place with our GE courses. And our institutional learning outcomes already have a lot of a close relationship to our general education outcomes. and the degree qualifications profile. Well, our dean, Chris Abrahamson, and the committee developed this grid, which we took to the academic senate. And as you can imagine, this was pretty dense, a lot of information. However, it was received, at least the intent was received very well. And so the Senate did ask for more succinct language. And, whoops, I'm sorry, one ahead here. So what you can see in front of you, again, you're welcome to go back to this later, is on the left-hand side is the language from the degree qualifications profile. Here's an example, civic learning. On the right side are several elements we refer to: our new mission statement, our institutional learning outcome, all these having to do with civic engagement, basically. And finally, our GE learning outcome that we moved to develop after our meeting with the Senate. And so you can see it's quite a bit more succinct, and it combines parts of all of these. Demonstrate critical and reflective civic engagement and thoughtful participation in diverse local and global communities. So this was really a good move for everyone. It also allowed us, the text, to put on a new web page as part of our SLO website, which is used quite often. It was important to develop a website to address general education outcomes and, again, the value of a degree, because there is nothing like that at this college. If you search general education, all you get is a bunch of requirements. So we see this initial stage of the GE outcomes webpage as a resource that will be developed. So this is something counselors, faculty, and students can refer to when the question comes up, well, why do I need a degree? What do these GE classes do for me? Or that one you hear all the time of, well, let's just get the GE out of the way. Well, GE means a lot more than fulfilling requirements. And so I personally was involved in this website, and I really see a lot of potential here. We had this ready to present to the Senate one more time with our more succinct list of GE outcomes, and had a final version. And this, again, you can take a look at later. You can see also we've identified the areas for each of these GE, whether it's the JC, our areas, CSU, things. These should look fairly familiar to a lot of you. And so we have a total of 9. And sorry, okay. This interestingly, the one about using information resources is only a local requirement. It's not something required for GE elsewhere. This applies. We combine the natural sciences, social and behavioral sciences, and humanities general outcomes, general education outcomes. The DQP had these as separate ones, but they all have skills in common. And finally, we have the analytic inquiry and the applied learning. These were approved by the Senate in April 2014, so about a year after our initial workshop with the DQP project. And I want to take a look along with that approval of the GE outcomes, were plans of what we're going to do next. And getting Senate support for this was really important. We are going to add the general education learning outcomes to our course outline of records, just as a like check boxes, so that it's clear which GE courses relate to which GE outcomes. And we think this will help define for everybody where that course fits in. We're also going to have greater communication on the value of the degree besides Project Learn, but the Academic Senate also discussed that. We'll have workshops for faculty on identifying the general education GE courses, and also, more importantly, I guess, is assessing those. And finally, we hope to add links to the GE Learning Outcomes website so that we can have, for instance, links to courses that fulfill specific GE outcomes apply to real-world situations. So we've definitely got ideas, and we're ready to work on that, and Project Learn will take the lead on that. So my fellow student learning outcome coordinator, Rebecca Perlroth, is not able to be here today, but in our original presentation, she spoke to the faculty point of view, as she teaches all her classes at our college, our GE classes. This happens to be geology, but we don't have a geology major or an astronomy major or a geography, earth sciences. The whole Department of Earth and Space Sciences has courses that all apply to GE areas, but no majors yet. So she's in an excellent position to show how the outcomes of her course to the new GE SLOs, or our GELOs. And you can see on the left, those are, here's the SLOs from the geology laboratory. Rebecca also gave examples with several other of her courses in which they have the course SLOs lining up with the GE student learning outcomes. An important thing will be for faculty to see how they can assess the SLO for a course and at the same time contribute to the assessment of our general education outcomes. All the mechanics are a little bit in development on how we want to collectively keep information, but this will be part of Rebecca's and my project for starting in the fall. So in terms of key learning from the DQP project, well, one of the things is we really got a sense from the Academic Senate's response that the college is ready to move forward in assessing general education learning outcomes. We're getting our pretty well a good understanding of assessing majors, assessing certificates, and having the evidence that supports student success in general education seems to be a logical next step. It is important, though, that this be part of of what instructors are doing already to assess their students. So another thing was, during the Senate meeting, there was a little bit of discussion about some wordsmithing, and a point that came out of that is what someone said is that the GE learning outcome statements belong to everyone, and specifically in this case, the English department does not need to be the one writing out exactly what the written communication outcome is, because they may have some very specific things, but GE outcomes are general. They are covered by other classes than just English 1A, and so I think there could be a lot of dialogue happening. Another thing is, as I said, this has initiated the dialogue. The website, I think, will be key, and development of that will be accessible to other colleges as well. So I'm really actually excited about seeing where that goes. So you can see, to get back to our equation, the DQPP plus the GELOS plus SRJC has given us a big start towards our goals. If you are interested in more information or want to know something about our process or want to take a look at our website later, I am the main contact person. I'm Wanda Brzicki. I work in the College Skills Tutorial Department, and in my role as SLO coordinator, I can give you quite a bit of information. Feel free to email me. And Rebecca Perlroth, who is taking on this project specifically in the fall, would also be happy to answer questions. You can see our website is there. That's our general SLO website, but you'll see the GE Learning Outcomes page listed on the left. So I appreciate your attention to this and wish you the best in your own endeavors. Thank you.